Let your curiosity rise.
Madbricks webcast,
Where the human spirit flies. Madbricks webcast. Where the human spirit flies.
Hey, welcome to the Medbix webcast. This is Ramana Annamaraju, long last name. Actually, my guest last name is bigger than my last name, so relax, guys. Welcome to the Medbix webcast. My name is, so we have a very interesting guest, a good friend of mine for a long time, and he's going to join with us. Before that, let me introduce my co-host, beautiful, blonde, and brainy, and not crazy, but very smart. Let me bring Dr. Susan Davis. Welcome, Susan.
Good save. Good save.
Good
I was
save.
close.
Yeah, I thought I wanted to use a
A
terrorist.
little crazy, huh? Going a little crazy in there. Okay, that's okay. I remember that. How
How
are
is
you,
that?
Ramana?
Beautiful, doing very well. Silicon Valley weather, always good. 365 days, air conditioned outside. So, what are
Nice.
you? Are you free? Are you flying in the hurricane, or are you in the middle of the flooding, or
Oh,
the 500 degrees centigrade boiling? Which one
no,
is your
standard.
in?
No,
Yeah.
we are enjoying a fantastic full moon. Today's the big full moon, the buck moon, so called in some parts of the world. So it's a beautiful full moon out there. No, we're in full summer roar down here. We have our afternoon thunder boomers, massive lightning storms. But no, we're all's well that ends well thus far down in sunny South Florida. So
You
we're
know,
good.
I attended yesterday Dr. Japra's meeting. Once in a while, I attend. That they have the Festival of Globe. Is August 15th. Is a big function coming in, and there is a yesterday. There's a gentleman came from my hometown back home in Hyderabad. He was talking about Guru Purnima, which is that called full moon. How important it is. They just you. I was thinking about you. You always talk about that full moon effects and everything.
Yes,
But
yes,
let me
yep. I won't get crazy.
yeah,
So
yeah, full moon.
we're
Yeah,
coming
yeah,
into
but
a
not only have
towards
two effects. One is a full moon effect, and the another one is a Susan effect. That's all.
And better watch out. The one's
Better
just as
watch out.
hot as the
Yeah.
other.
Okay, let me introduce our guest. It
Yes.
is my great pleasure to introduce our distinguished guest, Dr. Uli Chettipally, an award-winning physician, researcher, entrepreneur, and one of Silicon Valley's leading innovators at the intersection of medicine, artificial intelligence, and digital health. He is the founder of InnovatorMD. He has led groundbreaking healthcare technology initiatives at Kaiser Permanente and other organizations. Clinical professor at UCSF, and has been recognized with both the Pioneer Award and a Maurice Cullen Award for innovation in healthcare. I didn't know that what is Maurice Cullen. I will ask him. Today, Dr. Woody is taking in on one of medicine's greatest challenges, autism. Inspired by his own daughter, he founded Sirica Therapeutics, bringing together um, neuroscience, robotics, virtual reality, and artificial intelligence to the front lines, develop new approaches for communication and therapy for individuals on the autism spectrum. His work is driven not only by scientific innovation, but by deeply personal mission to unlock human potential that has too often gone unseen. Tonight, we will explore a fascinating question. Can understanding the artistic brain reshape the future of the artificial intelligence, and can AI in turn? Can you believe this? Very interesting, Susan. Turning around the question around. Can
Yes.
understanding the artistic brain reshape the future of the artificial intelligence? And can AI in turn help us better understand the human brain? So, AI is also learning from the. Let me welcome my good friend, Dr. Uli Chettipally. Welcome, sir. Welcome to the
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for
yeah,
that great
welcome,
introduction,
welcome.
Raman.
You
It's a
know,
pleasure
we
to be
missed
here.
you. You've been a frequent guest for a long time. Always, you know that we miss you. How are you
Nice to
doing? You're
meet you,
doing good.
Susan.
And everything is
Pleasure to meet you.
good. I see a lot of news about you in the you're posting a lot of new things. You know, I wanted to ask you one question, then I'll hand over to more medical person. Susan can ask questions. You know that tell us your journey, why you were so passionate about this. You worked in there as a ER doctor and all other areas, but you were very passionate about autism. What was led to that path?
Well, yeah, you rightly said that my background, emergency medicine, I practiced that for many years. I was also a researcher at Kaiser Permanente and leading to development of very interesting platforms for emergency physicians that are still active now. And we won some awards and stuff like that. But that career was great. It was going wonderful. I wrote a book about artificial intelligence and how it is going to change healthcare. All that is great, but I have a daughter with autism. And when we had her, and she was diagnosed when she was 3, and I've been, painfully aware that no new therapies, no new treatment has been happening for the last 20 plus years that I've been following autism because of my daughter. And so I decided, I got to do something, because I'm a parent, I'm a scientist, I'm a physician, I'm living in Silicon Valley, I understand technology. And so who else is better positioned than me trying to innovate in the autism space? And so for the last 4 years or so, I've been looking at everything that is happening in the autism space and what are some low hanging fruit that can we can quickly turn them into therapies for autistic individuals. And all this was from experience with my daughter and how she has improved and how she has been making strides. And that's what motivates and also that's what inspires me, how she has come a long way. And that's how Sirica Therapeutics was born.
It's so
By the way,
exciting. I have
by the
to, I
way,
have, yeah.
by the way, her name is Siri. That's why we named the company Sirica.
Very good. Yeah.
So first of all, fantastic. What an amazing background. And I think you nailed it. Your particular background, emergency medicine. I also have an emergency medicine background as a nurse.
Oh, cool.
But your innovation spirit, I think here, you just described, I don't think the normal trajectory, maybe just because of your location surrounded by, Silicon Valley and tech and top of the line medicine, top of the mind, everything. But what intrigued me is what you said about pretty much like accepting what is and to a point where one day you don't. So isn't that ultimately what it means to be an entrepreneur and to be innovative? Here we have what is, and our AI learns from what it already knows. So what pushes somebody to add new information so we get something new? You did a father with all of those credentials. Dad said enough's enough. What can we do to make life and the quality of life better for my daughter? And now, because of your work, I can't wait to hear more about it because you have a very inspiring video that you posted both on LinkedIn and on your site of your daughter with the letter pad, which I about that too. Yeah, and doing these amazing things. So first of all, congratulations on
Thank
not
you.
having a normal trajectory of okay, I'm in emergency medicine, and which those doors never close. So here we are. You have an amazing video. You've made an amazing breakthrough, and it seems fairly new, right? Is Siri, and I know she's joined your team. She works with you. Tell us about your grand opening and what does that look like?
So we've been working at this building technology for the last 4 years, and finally we were able to, find all the right pieces, and of course funding. We raised a pre-seed round, and unless we actually show it to people, otherwise it just stays on paper and it's theoretical. And we had to actually buy the machines, bring them, set up the center, and we had our grand opening last month, and where we invited all these people that have been waiting to see what we are doing, because this is very novel, what we are doing. And so they were all curious to find out, and a lot of families are waiting for this to open so that they can bring their kids and have them evaluated, and also try out the machines and see how it works. But I'm in a very fortunate situation where I think I'm in the right place at the right time to be able to make this happen. And so I'm really blessed for that.
A quick follow-up question, Ramana, and then I'll hush for a second. But I was looking and I was so inspired at the work that you've been doing, and it made me. Of course, I always go from the land of opportunity where you are, and you said parents wanting to get in there and see what you have. And most entrepreneurs don't have the ability and time and rate and money to put a shingle where people can actually come there and see what you're working on, the virtual reality, the equipment themselves. But my mind went to rural areas, rural America. The numbers that you were sharing on your site about the numbers of autistic children in our country, I started wondering about those who aren't diagnosed. You said your daughter was diagnosed at 3. Those who maybe don't have the resources at 3, 4, and 5 years old, I can imagine the frustration and the sleep deprivation of the families that don't get treatment and don't have their children diagnosed. What do you think about that?
Great question.
It's a very, very tough situation for parents, because number one, they don't know what is happening. Number two, when they try to access help, there's nothing available, especially in rural areas. It may take months before they can get some answers and maybe some therapy or help. But then, when the kid is first growing, in the early years, it's very important to get to a therapist as soon as possible, because the sooner you start therapy, the better the outcomes. And so that is a scary part for most parents. And then, one of the biggest challenges is the language and the behavior that comes from not being able to speak. And that turns into frustration and behavior and anger and all of that. So we're trying to build something that can be scaled, where anybody with internet access should be able to access these digital therapies and solutions. And so kind of democratizing the therapies so that even parents, even if they are waiting for the diagnosis, they can get started with these therapies and hopefully see some improvement in their children.
I would imagine that might. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Ramana.
Dr. Uli, just I wanted to ask you, what is the setup for this Sarika Therapeutics? Because I saw it myself, I attended a couple of your sessions. So tell us a little bit to the public, out people don't know outside, public, what is that setup that you have to do the treatment and therapy for this kind of autism spectrum patients?
So it starts with our hypothesis. Our hypothesis is different from the traditional medical model. The traditional medical model says that it is a behavior problem, and so that's why it is listed in the DSM-5, the diagnostic statistical model. where it is listed as a psychiatric disease or as a behavior problem. We look at it as a developmental problem where the brain develops differently.
Hmm.
And so that's number one. Number two, we believe that all autistic children or adults have normal or better than normal intelligence. The main challenge for them is to translate that intelligence into action, to be able to show that they are intelligent, right? Now, if you think about how we normally assess intelligent is if they can speak, if they're able to communicate, if they're able to write, if they're able to read, or if they're able to sign, if they're able to show facial expressions. But the challenge is for autistic, that's where the break is, where the thinking part of the brain cannot communicate with the motor part or the doing part of the body. And so if there is that break, there's, there you're locked in. And so we consider all kids to be intelligent unless proven otherwise. But then the proof part is we don't have the technology. We don't have tools to assess intelligence if somebody cannot speak or cannot type or cannot write or cannot show, So if we can tap into that brain and be able to extract that intelligence, and you will see, I don't know, maybe you have seen how my daughter was communicating. She was totally, you know, non-speaking, non-verbal all her life. Once we found the right tools for her to communicate, she said she wants to become a neuroscientist.
I
Those were
saw
the,
that.
those were the few words from her, and she says she wants to go to college. She wants to change the world, and and so we got her into college, and now she is scoring A's in all her tests.
No, oh
Of
my
course,
God.
she needs all those supports and the tools to be able to extract that intelligence. But if you're able to do that, now you know how brilliant she is. Without that, she would have been just another number, autistic person with low IQ, because the IQ test is cannot measure the intelligence of a person who cannot speak or communicate.
You forgot somebody important, Dr. Yuli. Your wife posted quite a bit of posts she
She's
does.
My wife
She
is
was
amazing.
a staunch mother I ever seen. She
Yeah.
never give up and is a
No.
constant. Oh my God, blessed to
Yeah.
have a daughter like her, like your daughter, and blessed to have parents like you and your wife. To have
She,
that, that is
my wife is
really.
the main person, I should say, that is very hardworking and doesn't give up, and that's what is needed
Yeah,
to be.
Susan, because I know both all the family. That's why I'm saying that. But yeah,
Sure.
go ahead, Susan.
No, it's a perfect. I mean, I'm thinking about mothers and again, entrepreneurs. In this case, a mother and a father, regardless of your background, that happens to be extremely fitting. But so moms and dads, they can bring. I was just thinking about the neuroregulation of so many of these children that you see who they don't even know that language, at 3 and 4 and 5, and you have other moms and dads that just don't know like what to do. And then I'm just imagining the energy in that environment. The energy of the child is unregulated and it's overload
It's
like
scary.
crazy.
It's scary.
And now the parents or the siblings, there's just the stress alone of not knowing what to do. So it's like a bomb, truly. So I guess what I'm thinking is, can we help the children by down regulating the nervous system of the family? Like,
Yes.
The entire family.
So, as I said, once we put that hypothesis where okay, these are intelligent kids. And so the sooner you can help them communicate, the sooner the temperature comes down. Because once they know that they are able to express themselves, express their concerns, express their anxieties, express their needs, their anxiety level comes down because now they don't have to be worried about what is going to happen to me, you know, because they're constantly misunderstood.
Misunderstood. And not, yeah. So,
Yeah.
so
And so
how, Dr.
that
Uli, how,
creates frustration, that creates anger, that creates behaviors, and they come out in weird ways where, you know, nobody can understand. Maybe the parents can a little bit, but even they are handicapped because there's no communication. And so communication seems to be the key to understanding their frustrations, but also the feedback that they get where it will calm them down. Because once you understand a person, then you understand what their concerns are, what their anxieties are, and then you can talk through that. And so this method has been around for a while, but it was never popular. It was never studied. It was never actually promoted, mainly because of how the professionals looked at it. The professionals could not believe that these kids can actually communicate. And so they were gaslighted.
hmm.
And so the parents, and they scared the parents, saying that this is all bogus. And so nobody wanted to do it because number one, it is challenging to find a coach who can do that. It's expensive and they're hard to find. Number two, it will take a long time to do it because it's a lot of practice. And number three, if your speech therapist, if your doctor says, if your pediatrician says, oh, this is bogus, then it would be hard to go against them to introduce this method. And um, and so that's a good excuse. It's not used in schools, it's not used anywhere else, and so it becomes a taboo subject.
Hmm.
It is sad to see that when 3 million people in the US cannot speak and have autism. And
So the journey of 1,000 steps begins with or the 1,000 miles begins with the first step. So what did you do?
so we invented a method on how you can train your motor and cognitive communication. So the brain needs to retrain itself on how it communicates, because that's the biggest challenge, right? The link is broken where the brain can tell the body on how to do it. And so we have developed these exercises using these devices to be able to. So it contains cognitive, which is the video game part of it. It contains sensory, which is the uh, virtual
VR.
reality part of it. And then it contains motor, which is the gross motor exercise that you have to do in order to in order to function in this system. So we call this cognitive sensory motor therapy. Cognitive sensory motor. So all three have to be present, not one. You cannot say, oh, they can go to the gym and do exercise. No, it won't happen. It has to be a combined experience, and it should be a deeply immersive experience, because otherwise they're not motivated to do this, right? If it is fun and they're motivated, then it becomes, then the full circuit is functioning, right? And then as they train their gross motor muscles, slowly we transfer that into fine motor. Eventually, it may take years, but at least we need to get that circuit going so that you can train that pathway. And when you put these people into deeply immersive states, what happens is you're creating an environment in the brain that promotes neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is where new nerve cells are formed to connect the parts of the brain that are disconnected, and that's our method to bring them to eventually be able to communicate with the letterboard.
Dr. Uli, there was a big validation for your kind of a understanding technology. It came from steps, from Denmark. Do you know anything about it a little bit? Can you explain?
Yeah,
That is a huge validation. Um, First
yeah,
of all, autism means a lot of people, most of the people know, most of the doctors and everybody is like a eye to eye contact, talking, understanding, responding, all those social behaviors, right? So the steps, this is called a very interesting abbreviation. I saw that social cognitive enhancing profound pro profunctional skills. That's what they call steps. It came from a very randomized trial from Denmark. It's a Copenhagen. Is a pioneer that validated your theory. It took a big
yeah.
risk. Actually, it took a risk. I was kind of wondering how that validation. What do you think about that?
So yeah, I mean, so there are studies, there is research in various pieces of this, but nobody actually put together the whole program into one solution, right? And that's what we did. Plus, this kind of technology is not available outside easily, especially in the past. This was not available. Also, the letterboard came from a mother who had her kid with autism and she wanted to teach him. And he was able to, she wrote all the letters on a piece of paper and he was able to point to letters to be able to spell. But this happened 20 plus years ago.
Hmm.
But nobody actually took that and then, okay, how do we use technology to be able to translate, to teach, to grow kids into that system or that method. So it's a long process, but it's doable. With current technology, it's doable. With AI as a coach, it's very, very possible. And so
Yeah.
that's what we're trying to do. And we're trying to democratize it so that any person anywhere in the world should be, with an internet connection, should be able to do that.
Dr. Yuli, I think you guys have cracked the code on change, right?
Yeah.
Period. You add those three components, cognitive, sensory, and motor, you can pretty much change anything if the person is willing to put in the time. You put
Yeah.
those three things together in the manner that you have, this is just you've created one giant gem of wonder for the universe right now and for all these families and all these children. And there's going to be crossover to outside of autism, obviously, but I'm
Oh,
already
yeah.
seeing crossover to like,
Yeah,
my
it can
God.
work for stroke. It can work
Yes.
for traumatic brain injury. It can work on a lot of things. Wherever there is a deficit in the brain function, in the brain structure, this bridge building that happens in the brain, and the brain, for a long time, scientists believed that, oh, you cannot grow brain cells. But, it has been disproven, and at any age you can grow and bridge those gaps. That is what is making it possible.
Let me ask you $1 million question.
Yes.
What is the cause of autism actually? Is it genetics, or is it environment, or is it bad luck? What do you think of all those things? What are the
Well, nobody
what?
knows.
Nobody.
Nobody knows.
Okay.
Nobody knows.
Since he
And
said nobody knows, I know
yeah.
one. I'm going to present you one. That
Oh,
topic. Maybe you can validate, you may not validate,
Okay. So,
but this
so here's the
possible.
here's the thing. Do you remember this story about the elephant and five blind men trying to figure out what that elephant is? All those
Very
five blind men are
well.
correct. They're all correct, but they are only correct to a specific part. So
Oh,
the
excellent.
elephant
Okay.
is autism. Yes, it is genetic. Yes, it is environmental. Yes, it has, structural changes. Yes, it can be changed with diet. All of those things are true, but they're only true for a certain
Beautiful
specific
example.
part
I'm
of it.
going to give you one of the five men's example for you.
Okay,
So
tell
that
me.
Navia, can you put that presentation and then quickly I do that in 10, 15. Then after that, I come back and ask you about what are the advances about the
Sure.
Facebook is trying to do, meta reality and all those labs. And then what do you think this your corporation can, how do you widespread your understanding and technology to the world? Let me talk about this, that about my, so one of the five men she's talking about is actually one of the five men, truly one of those five evil men. I'm going to introduce you. Right now here is a one
Okay.
fine car, one evil man, root cause of a health catastrophe of the century. Autism spectrum went up in children. We don't know exactly all the behavior. Clinical behavior went up. Intelligence levels went down. This is the cause. That is, I'm going to present the topic. Is a lead is the cause of all. One of the thing is a lead. There's a one thing we know about lead. The lead caused it actually, the lead content can go to the placenta, and if both are doctors, and I don't have to teach them, but it goes to placenta and affects the baby. And one of the areas that affects is the myelin sheath, that insulin sheath on the neuron dendrites. That is where the insulin is not functional. It's not there. In fact, it takes out. That is a cause of they think it is one of the reduced, that is a cause of reduced learning ability. It is really devastated our children. It is generations. We stole the life of the lead toxicity, stole the life of our children. Behavioral difficulties, lifetime of lost potential, all of them are. At least one of the five men is lead toxicity. The reason was lead toxicity is, Dr. Uli may know already, and Susan may know, lead mimics the calcium because body, lead has this exactly, looks like exactly the structure, the chemical structure looks like the calcium. Calcium is a very important atom, that the molecule does that with the carbon, all the other ones together. It is a signaling protein, and it is also metabolic process. It does all the other, a lot of functions it does. Carbon is the most, maybe 90% is carbon in our body. So if we take a lead, the body doesn't know how to get rid of the lead because it thinks it is a calcium. So lead does not attack the brain by force. It deceives the brain by pretending to be calcium. That is the cause of the problem in that sense. So brain confused about this area. This is a very interesting, Dr. Uli. This lead is a correlative study. Correlation study was, it has actually reduced 800 million IQ points because of lead toxicity. Lead in American violence went up. During the lead increase, the violence went up. School dropout increased because it's a direct correlation with the statistics. Is a random is a the This is a randomized trials. These are all really approved and peer reviewed studies. These are all the New England Journal of Medicine published these papers. This is a, there is a direct connection between the lead toxicity and the violence and the school children school dropout. One of the pediatricians I was talking with her one day, she told me, when you go to these people with the autism children place, if you see under the walls under the tree, they would chip off these. I think the kids like that chipping off the wall paint. The paint is contained lead. So she's a Stanford doctor, was telling me about that. I was surprised. You can literally see the kids are eating the lead on the paint chips. But actually, this is a very interesting story. It is the Claire Patterson is a Caltech professor. He was not looking for lead. He doesn't know anything about lead. He wants to find out the age of the earth. So he went on to dig into the earth's age, all the way inside, closer to the almost very deep inside the earth, and extracted a zirconium crystal. The zirconium crystal is, then he tested the zirconium to find out the age of the earth. That's what he's a Caltech professor. What he found is astonishing. He found a lot of lead inside. A zirconium hiding inside the earth has a lot of carbon. That was stunning to him. And that is surprises the entire scientific community. Then he went on testing other areas, water, soil, air, and filled with lead everywhere. It is it's a significant portion of lead was present in this all these areas. The lead was. So that was a stunning revelation. He went to Antarctica, went there to find all the way down closer to the center of the earth almost to get this real without a carbon. That he went through a very, very big thing to go to get rid of the lead. Can you believe that? That is to find out the age of the earth. That unexpected result, he found out how lead was. So how did it come out? That is a very interesting concept. I used to, Dr. Uli may know, remember in India, all the cars used to have cranks. We used to crank the cars in villages, particularly. That I did crank those kind of cars. That's the way we start cars, Susan. I don't know whether uh, that's a way we used to start the cars, and they put a water in the carburetor, and then it goes. So my villages, they will never see a car. Once in a while, pass by, the car got stuck because it's too hot, and they used to. I was a kid. I used to help them to start the car. Then another problem is the track. Actually, in my village, we use a lot of tractors. Russian tractors. They do a lot of this plowing, rice thing, and they use in the rice fields. So when you see these cars and this one, they shake a lot. When you see the smoke thing on the in the tractor, it just violently shakes. Even engine shakes on the car. So they hired a Chrysler. I think Chrysler Leland hired a scientist, not a good one. He hired a scientist that reduce this knocking. How do you reduce this knocking for these cars and tractors and automobiles? Leland is the company hired him. That what he came up with is add a lead to the gasoline that will reduce the knocking. That's where the lead came from. That is the first entry into lead into the our world. So lead that reduced knocking, United States went on a binge, and then they bought the cars everywhere, packed cars everywhere, 1950s, and then other part of the world, 75% of the lead pollution came from United States alone from these cars. Just cars alone produced 75% of the Earth's pollution. We feel even today. So that is the then lead explosion started. Not only it didn't stop with it entered into our daily lives. Pipes, water you drink every day, and then makeup that you put. Susan, you're using. I hope you're not using the lead makeup there.
Me
So
too.
batteries, and then all the cosmetic talcum powder, is very popular one time. All of them have contained lead. That is a lead explosion started. So, but a lot of people are warning lead is not good. MIT and Yale were telling. Even Benjamin Franklin wrote a note on that. Lead is a bad news. Scientists, the companies, Standard Oil, ethyl companies said that there's no problem. I can drink it. And the scientists who did this kind of thing. He drank actually gasoline in front of journalists. Crazy guy. I tell you how miserable death he had. So so that 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 75% of the that pollution spread across the planet. Bangladesh has a 99.7%, and Nigeria is the 45 micrograms per deciliter is one of the highest. Nepal is hardly any cost, but is also on the top of the sixth list. China is number 10. India is not on the top 10, but India, 40% children are exposed to the more than a 5% micrograms of deciliter. I came from village. Thank you. I am not in the big cities. Big cities are affected, particularly in India, with this lead poisoning. So there are a lot of countries affected by children which told really directly affected the children. There is a way to find out, to lead diagnosis. You can test urine, blood, and hair, X-ray. You can do through these mechanisms. You can test the lead content, and the treatments are very limited. Chelation therapy, they say. I will ask Dr. Uli about that, but I'm not sure how good it is. And then CRISPR, they're talking about CRISPR in the future to change this whole process, to recognize probably between the calcium and the lead, to differentiate that process, and the CRISPR can recognize that. Maybe it could be very far from that place, but I will ask Dr. Uli about that. So that is situation. Then came in during the 1940s, and she was born in 1870, but she was Dr. Alice Hamilton, a lone champion, unrelenting champion for against the lead crusade. She led the crusade against the lead. She's from Chicago. She is from New Hampshire, but moved to Chicago. She lived in a Hull house, and then she alone started the washer. She was banned in a lot of organizations. She was not supposed to come to the any medical organization to things because of her championship. Washer was started. Occupational Safety and Health Administration was started by because of this woman, Dr. Alice Hamilton. Nobody knows. A lot of people don't know about her name. She came from a very aristocratic family, very rich family, but she served poor. She lived in Chicago. She lived among poor, and then she used to go to the sanitary workers and testing that and compliant. She was a lone champion, but a crusader, and really deserves well credit for this occupational washout to start with. So lead, CDC reduced it after that lead level to from 60 micrograms per deciliter to all the way to 0.025. They say no, zero is better. So CDC now with the following, still the effects are not gone. In Flint River tragedy was all they found out in the Flint River woman. This pediatrician, she found out that Dr. Mona Hana Atisha, she is the one said that Flint River is contained a lot of lead, and she wrote a book, "Stop War Against Children," and what the eyes don't see. So she wrote a book. Actually, she was award-winning book that was Mona Letitia. I hope she gets a Nobel Prize for this. But she was a crusader for the children. This lead poisoning in this whole thing. The pipes, Atlanta pipes. I used to live in Atlanta. We had a big discussion about the pipes, and they changed it. All the PCP pipes that has a lead. So I think these are the people who really changed autism. Dr. Alice Hamilton, Dr. Mona Athisha, these are the people that changed. And Dr. Uli, people like him change the world. They have to be champion. Otherwise, they ignore them, and the world ignores them. We need people like Dr. Uli and his wife constantly talking about it. Is a very important for our progress, and we don't want to steal the next generation's mind. That is our responsibility. Thank you for joining. Let me bring our guest back. Um, yeah. So,
Thank, thank you, Ramana. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure always to talk with you.
what do you
Thank you.
think of that lead participation?
Yeah, lead is a poison.
Is a
I'm glad
poison, yeah.
glad CDC and everybody else understand it. I'm glad the cities are testing the water and everything, and I'm
Yeah.
glad pediatricians are testing kids for lead poisoning, and so that's a great thing. Um, Obviously, although lead contamination has gone down, autism is still going up, and that's the
Yeah, you
challenge.
said that that's one of the five men. It's one of the five men.
Maybe the sixth man.
Sixth man. So
Dr.
that,
Yuli, is chelation therapy, does it make a dent?
I don't have any experience in that, so I can't tell.
Well, I mean, I guess every ounce counts. I think like similar
Yeah,
to
yeah.
any,
I mean, as long as there's lead, it's a bad thing. So
yeah.
yes,
so
but
what is
mainly it comes
your
from
yeah?
yeah.
So what is your thinking about this technology playing a role? Everybody loves technology, then chemicals. So now you got a validation from the Denmark, very peer-reviewed study came out of the Denmark steps. That's what that is giving you. The motorized sensor is increases it increases the evidence that they can social intelligence, social behaviors, all of them do that. So what is your thinking about your company and Serica Therapeutics? A little bit talk about it, and then what do you want to do with it, and eventually what is your goals are.
Well, our goal is to continuously do research and trying to understand what helps these kids. How can we change, some of the devastating effects of autism. Because if you extrapolate that 8 to 10% increase every year, soon we'll have a lot of children and a big problem on our hands. So we better focus on it, and hopefully the government will focus and look for solutions and look for causes why it is happening, and how can we change the trajectory of so many kids' lives. Um, and so it needs a lot of research and a lot more
Are
people
you
to.
setting up these labs everywhere? Like you want to set up? What is your in the
My plan
commercial
is,
company?
yeah, my
Yeah.
plan is to set up right now we have the Burlingame Center, and we will have, you know, more centers opening in the Bay Area. We're planning to do four more centers over the next 2 3 years, and so we will have enough volume of kids or adults or young adults coming to the centers, and we will be able to then do a clinical study where we look at outcomes. So what happens when they go through this program? Are we able to make a difference in their lives, in their symptoms?
Dr.
In the
Yuli, my
Mhm.
final question for you is, I think the best intervention is always just like you have the in-person innovate and time what they can get there, where they're putting all three together, the cognitive sensory and the motor, with all the wonderful equipment that you have. And I think all of us know that the challenge is always in this digital remote world. How can we do similar to the best of our ability? Can we get those same treatments and techniques to people who can't get there? So a blended option is something that I know in my heart, in my work, I don't want to do, but yet I'd rather give them something than not give them anything at all. So like, I mean, can you ship a VR headset? Is that even doable? I mean, I do this again in my business. So what do you see a blended option?
Yes, definitely, because these are machines, and as any technology, any new technologies, initially they are expensive, but with time they get cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, and eventually they could have these machines one of these machines at home, and we be able to monitor the program remotely, as long as you have an internet connection. And robots are becoming cheaper. Now everybody has robotic vacuum cleaners, right? It used to be like, oh, fancy, but not anymore. They become affordable as time goes on. Technology becomes cheaper. And so that's my hope, is that by the time we get all this data, and there'll be more, it'll become ubiquitous, so that anybody anywhere should be able to um,
So
access this
is that
treatment.
the core of the democratization that you were mentioning earlier in the show? Okay. That's what I wanted to make sure, that those who couldn't get to your office, that we dispelled that out before we left, so people could know what to look forward to.
Yes, that's our
Yeah,
that's our goal.
Dr.
Excellent.
Uli, you have another mission, Innovator MD, right? That you bring a lot of people there. And you also give big parties up there in the near San Francisco airport. I attended a few of them, but yeah, it's always
Yes,
fun to meet in person. Uh,
technology is helping move us in the right direction. Um, you know, I've studied data science and I've studied AI, and that's going to be changing healthcare very soon, rapidly. Hopefully for the benefit of the people, not just a few big companies, but actually it should trickle down to the regular people, on how those changes will help improve our health overall. I'm very optimistic, and so if anybody wants to understand how it's going to change, you can give them my book, Ramana. The book is called
I'll,
"Punish
se-
the Machine."
I'll send it to gift book to Susan. We
Oh,
sign it, autograph it, sign it. She loves to read books. I'm, I'm, ig-
Yes,
illiterate. I am. She's the one who reads and loves to read books.
excellent.
But Dr. Woolley, so much thanks for you for joining with
yeah,
us.
thank you for
It's
having me.
an honor
It's a
and privilege.
pleasure.
You're a friend, and I know you a long time. And what do
Thank you
you
for having
think of this? We cannot rob the children of the future. This
Exactly.
is a big problem, and we need to solve it. They need a lot of resources to put together.
Yeah.
That is really what that these policymakers and all of them may need to really combine and really spend
Yes.
time. Not a big talk. There are lot of times what happened in the policy still side, they talk a lot, and then really action wise they produce a less amount, and they put on the defense contract to get all the money in the world. Then so I don't want to say anything to offend anybody, but I don't want to talk politics, but it is in
I think
fact
things will change as people uh,
yeah.
understand the importance of research, and importance of how we can overcome a lot of these challenges. I think it'll go in the right direction. You just need more people that want to take this on. And if anybody is looking for a challenge, this is the biggest challenge that I have seen in healthcare. It's not cancer, it's not heart disease. Those are all easily solvable things. But this one is the most complex condition that I've seen in my
Well,
career.
you know what? I would like to thank you and your wife for your persistence and your parenting. And I would triple like to thank Siri. And you can
Yeah.
tell her for me, please, that I'm looking forward to her book, because I'd like to
Yes.
understand, I'd like it from her perspective, her journey. And I will look forward to what she contributes to the research.
Well,
Because,
actually, we're going to start a podcast very soon, and she wants
oh,
to talk.
excellent. Well, listen,
Fantastic.
I am a fan, and
Sure.
please let me know when that podcast comes online, because I will be
Thank,
number one in line.
thank you, Susan. Thank you,
My
Ramana.
pleasure.
Thank
Good
you,
night.
thank you, Dr. Chettipally. Thank you, Willie.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay.
Nice seeing you. It is an
Night.
honor. Always pleasure talking with you. It's a deeply
Thank
emotional. You're part of the family of MedBricks,
you.
as I'm a part of the Innovator MD. So
Thank you.
now we included Susan also. We're all part of your families together. Thank you so much for joining
All
with
right.
us.
Good night.
Good night.
We are retelling their stories through our patented designs that can be worn on scrubs, t-shirts, printed on conference bags, and endless other promotional materials. Daily Wear for Medicine is the first ever of its kind to create curiosity in medicine through visual art. We at MedBricks are celebrating unsung heroes of the past who made enormous contributions to the field of medicine through our unique campaign called Daily Wear for Medicine. You can wear it, carry it, and give it.